Brian Neher. I'm a professional portrait painter from Charlotte, North Carolina. And today I just want to show you how you can stretch your own canvas just in case you want to make a specific size, a particular size for a specific project that you're working on. And a lot of times when artists ask me how to stretch canvas, a lot of times they're intimidated by the whole process, and it really is a simple process. And today I just want to take a few minutes and show you how simple it actually is. First of all, there are a couple of things that you need before you get started. First, you need the canvas that you're going to be working on. Today, this particular canvas that I have is actually Claessens number 13 single primed linen. And it's a little different than cotton canvas because cotton canvas obviously is made out of cotton, but linen has a tighter weave, and it's this particular canvas, I'm not sure if you can see the particular weave, but it's extremely smooth. And for portraits, commissioned portraits, it's very important that I have a very smooth canvas with not a lot of blemishes in them. And when I talk about a blemish in a canvas, I'm talking about bumps or ridges that occur on the canvas as a result of the weave itself. So anyhow, basically you have your canvas, and then you also need something to stretch your canvas on top of. And these are called stretcher bars. You buy these in strips. They come in pairs. So if you're going to, today I'm going to be stretching an 11 by 14 frame. So basically I would have two 11-inch strips and two 14-inch strips, and I'm going to be putting those together as sort of like a frame in a square. I'm going to go ahead and show you that real quick. Basically you just lay them out like this, and they're just going to go together. You can see that each one has slots, and they can fit right into each other. So basically you just put them together like this, and you put the two, I'm going to put the two longer ends, the equal sides, opposite of each other, and then do the same with the other two. And as you put them together, what I like to do is, you can see here if I push this too far, that lip comes out there. Really, I like to just push that just so that it's even. It comes even in the corners so that you don't see that lip. Now that seems simple enough, but in order to get this to properly fit into a frame, it needs to be square. And so what I like to use is a T-square of some sort. Today I brought a very large T-square. It's actually it's a T-square that's used for drywall, but really any T-square will work as long as it's square, then you're fine. Basically you lay it out on the table, then you stick your canvas, your stretcher bars up to it. And basically I'm lining up the stretcher strip along this side of the T-square and looking, there's a little bit of a gap here. So because there's a little bit of a gap, that means it's not quite squared. So in order to get it squared, I just simply take this opposite corner and push it towards this way, towards this corner here. And now that is square. And then I turn it on the other side just to make sure. I like to do 3 sides just to make sure 3 sides are square. And if 3 sides are square, then you're pretty much set, you pretty much know that it's going to fit into the frame itself. So then once that is done, all that's left basically is to staple. I prefer an electric staple gun just for the fact that it's easier to get the staples to go into the wood. A lot of times the handheld staple guns take a little more effort. They'll work just as fine, but the electric staple gun seems to work best for what I do. And basically, now that we have everything squared, all I want to do is I want to take and put a couple of staples in each of these corners just to make sure that it stays square so that I don't have to worry about that later when I'm stretching canvas. So we'll go ahead and do that. And it looks something like that. That's all there is to it. Now that we know that this is square, all we have to do is take our linen, which I showed you earlier, and lay that out. I like to put it down just to see how big I need the linen to actually be. I'll lay the stretcher bars on top, and I'm going to leave about 1.5 inches to 2 inches on the sides here as far as coming out from the the stretcher bars just to allow enough room so when I actually do stretch this that I have enough room, enough canvas to fold over the back of the stretcher bar itself. So let me go ahead and trim this off just a little bit because I don't need all of this. This is just a simple a box cutter. And I'm just going to okay. Once you do that, now I have a piece of linen that should fit nicely over the top of this stretcher bar. So I'm going to flip this upside down, flip the linen upside down, because when I actually fold the linen over, I'm going to be folding it this way so that you're actually going to be painting on this side of the surface. And when you fold it, you just kind of make sure it's in the center. You'll notice if you look closely, there's a particular weave to this linen and to any canvas really. It'll go either horizontally or vertically, and in this case I just like to try to take the weave and try to see if I can sort of line up the weave to go parallel with the stretcher bar itself. That way it's not going to be too crooked. That looks pretty good. Once you do that, you're going to take a staple and put it right in the center of your stretcher bar. I usually like to do the longest end first, and then I'll flip it over and do the same thing on the opposite side. You can pull it tightly with your hands. You can also use what are called canvas pliers, which are metal pliers, which work really well, especially with large canvases. Because it helps you to really get to stretch the linen to get it nice and tight. And what happens is you basically put the canvas pliers on like this. There's a little knob on the end here which actually pushes against the stretcher bar itself, which gives it some leverage. You stick it on there and you just pull it over slightly. Don't pull it too tight because you're just getting started. And that's all there is to it. And then we just do the same thing on the opposite sides. Always start from the center and work your way out. That way you'll have a nice tight canvas at the end. Now I'm going to start putting more than one staple in here in just a second. But this will give you, but just to start out with, I just like to make sure that everything is lined up. You'll notice that there's going to be a little bit of a crease here. That's fine. As you work your way out, that's going to tighten up. So now I'm going to go ahead and start doing 2 staples on each side. And when you staple, I like to staple them about 1.5 inches, 1 inch to 1.5 inches apart. And that's plenty of room. You don't have to put too many staples in there, but you also don't want to put too few in there, or else your canvas isn't going to be nice and taut. And just flip it over, do the same thing. Same thing on the opposite sides. And as you're constantly stretching the canvas, as you're working your way out, it makes it slightly tighter. And by the end of the process, you should have a canvas that's nice and tight like a drum. One of the good things about stretching your own canvas is that, first of all, you get to pick whichever size you'd like to stretch it. You're not limited to a standard size. If you have an odd size that you'd like to stretch, you can do that. And then also, if you have a painting that needs to be transported, you can actually take it off the stretcher bars, roll it up, and put it into a canvas roller of some sort, and then take your stretcher bars down, travel to wherever you have to, and when you get there, you can reassemble everything, which is nice. It's another benefit of knowing how to stretch canvas as well. But then probably one of the best features about stretching your own canvas is that it does save you quite a bit of money. What I like to do is I like to buy canvas in rolls, large rolls, and this particular canvas, Claessens number 13, single prime canvas, I buy this in 54-inch rolls, and you can buy them in larger quantities and larger rolls as well, but by buying them in a large roll, you can cut out whatever size you'd like, and you're buying in bulk, so you're saving some money there as well, which is nice. Okay, once we get to the end of the rows here, I think we've pretty much got them. It should look something like this, where you have enough room to do another staple, but I usually wait to do this last staple near the end, because what we're going to do is we're going to fold the corners. So to fold the corner, it's very simple. I just take one side like this, do this. I basically stick a finger in there and then pull it straight down so that you're left with something that looks like this. Once you do that, I just staple. I like to staple the end there just so it stays, and then turn it over and do the same thing on all four sides. The whole process of stretching your own canvas is fairly simple. Don't let it intimidate you. It's not intimidating at all. It's a pretty simple process. And once you get one or two under your belt, then you should be pretty confident after that point. When you get to this stage here, you have a little bit of extra. I don't cut off the extra. I know some people will actually just cut off the extra canvas, but I don't like to do that, just in case if I have to re-stretch this canvas later on, I'll have, if by leaving this on there, I have some more linen that I can actually hold on to in order to give me more leverage when I pull it over to stretch it. So I like to keep this just in case I need it later on down the road for some reason. You just never know. But in order to make this look nice, I just simply, I'm going to fold this down, I'm going to staple this, and then I'm going to fold the corners. But let me go ahead and I like to do this first. I like to put a staple in the center here just to help keep it down before I actually, sometimes that happens too. That is what happens when you accidentally pull the trigger on your staple gun, which I've done many times before. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, very simple, take it, tuck that under, and just fold it like that. And that's all I'm going to do with each corner. Actually, let's do that. There are a number of different ways to do it to make your corners look slightly different, but as long as you can get the fold to look fairly neat, that's all you're worried about. And I'll do the last fold here. Stick one more there. As I'm working on a commissioned portrait, I know a lot of times I'm pushing on the canvas itself. I'm painting on it. As you're painting and pushing with your fingers and moving paint around, over time, the linen or the canvas will eventually start to loosen up. And because of that, I want it back to a tighter stage, back to where when I push down, I'm not going to feel the stretcher bars behind it. And so in order to get it tight again, you can do a couple of different things. A temporary thing that I sometimes do is spray water, take a spray bottle with some water, and I'll just spray the back of the canvas itself. And I'll spray down into the grooves here as well. And I'll take like a washcloth or a paper towel and try to even that water out. And as you do that, you'll notice very quickly, within a minute or so, that your canvas becomes extremely tight, very tight. You can almost play a song on it, it's so tight. And that's fine, it works well for a little while, but it's not a permanent hold. If you're looking for a more permanent hold to keep your canvas tight, what I would recommend are canvas, what they call canvas keys. And those are simply keys that look like this. These are actually the two different sizes. This is a heavy duty stretcher bar size, and this is a standard stretcher bar size. And basically, what you do is you take these keys and you stick them in these. They have little slots. I don't know if you can see those. There's little slots underneath here. Those are the same slots that we assembled the stretcher bars with. And basically, you just stick these canvas keys right in here, and as you put them in there, I'd stick one back here first. There's two different slots. Let's see if I can get this one out. I would stick this one in the back slot first. Make sure that the flat end goes against the stretcher bar. Now, I'm not going to stick this all the way in, but basically I would stick it in there. I would stick a piece of foam board or a piece of cardboard behind this and take like a rubber mallet or some sort of a rubber hammer and gently tap it in there. The reason I put the foam board or the cardboard behind it is so that you don't accidentally pierce the canvas itself. It's to protect the back of your canvas. So basically I would tap this in this way, and then I would take another one and stick it this way, and then tap that down there just a little bit, and then I'd go in the opposite corner and do the same thing, and you do that with all four corners, just gently applying the same amount of pressure on each of the four corners until it starts to tighten up just to the amount of tightness that you need. Don't over tighten it, because you can actually overstretch the canvas, which you don't want to do, but it doesn't take a whole lot to tighten these canvases up with these keys. But these keys are great, and once you do that, just leave them in there. Even after you frame it, you just keep it in there, and they stay in there. They can be adjusted a little bit later on if they need to be, but they stay in there from then on out. Also, one other thing I wanted to mention, a lot of times if I'm doing a portrait, if I'm painting on a portrait that's larger than a 16 by 20, I like to use what are called heavy-duty stretcher bars. Same principle, except these are a lot thicker. And basically, these are actually Frederick's heavy-duty stretcher bars. And you can see that the lip comes up much higher on these, and they're a lot wider. It's to compensate for the larger canvases, so you don't get a sag, or you don't get any warping that takes place in your painting, because a lot of times if you have a large canvas, say, let's pretend that this was like a 30 by 40. A large canvas, especially on the longer sides, are going to tend to warp, and this will start to dip in. You get a lot of warping that happens, and you don't want that to happen, especially if you're going to be delivering this to a client who's going to be hanging this on their wall for years to come. You want to give them the best materials possible, and the heavy-duty stretcher bars are fantastic. They go together the same way. Let me move this one. These take a little more work to get together, but basically you just kind of wiggle them until they get close together like that. Sometimes when you're putting these larger ones together, sometimes I'll use the rubber mallet as well, just to kind of hammer them down to get them in the position that I want. And then once you get them all four together, you do the same thing that we did on the smaller one, and that's use your T-square, line everything up. It's the exact same process, just with a different stretcher bar. And with the larger heavy-duty stretcher bars, I would highly recommend using the canvas pliers, because you can use just your hands, which I've done before, but by the end of the session your hands will be cramping and you won't get as tight of a canvas that you're looking for. So I would definitely recommend the canvas pliers, and the metal ones work great. So anyhow, I just wanted to share those thoughts with you today about stretching canvas, and I hope that it inspires you to stretch your own canvas the next time you want to work on your next masterpiece. Thank you.